Yeah. We have like close to 60 people who registered, and people are
Amazing.
streaming in. And most importantly, the people who were on the webinar last time and actually requested for us to tackle this subject are here. So happy that they're here. Yes.
Amazing. Yes.
Yes. Amazing. Amazing.
It's an important subject, to be honest. Yani. It's
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So we're just waiting a couple of minutes to start, but I think
Perfect.
I want to thank you because, you know, this has become like such an essential part of our lives. I really want to thank you because
We
people
should be
keep
thanking you.
people are giving me a lot of feedback that this is so needed. We want to have more of these discussions. They're so meaningful and so on. And people feel comfortable enough to open up and to just share. And it feels like, you know, we're amongst friends. And I really like the format of the webinar because what ends up happening is, you know, you really get people who take the time to register, the serious ones, people who really want to do something. It's fantastic. I really thank you for being part of this.
Thank you for making this opportunity happen. It's
this is fantastic. And we've been requested for at least to make one webinar بالعربي. So I think we got to think about that.
ضروري. لا ضروري. True. صح. I've noticed most of our webinars are they all are in English.
Yeah, exactly. So we gotta just think about that and actually do one بالعربي.
Anna, they give me a tough time on Instagram. Yani, why don't you speak in Arabic? Why don't you speak in Arabic? Anna, I speak in Arabic, but sometimes it's easier to, you know, express yourself, or at least it's easier for me to express myself in English.
Yeah, definitely. Do you dream in English or in Arabic? Do you know?
I dream in French.
Oh, there you
go.
Is
that weird? Oh. Is that weird? I don't know why I dream in French.
Yeah, but there you go. They say that what you dream of, that's your heart's language. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it is. Yeah.
Okay. طيب, fantastic. Shall we start? We already have like around 13 people. Now 15. So let's start.
Okay.
Respect for everybody who's on time. And we'll try our best now for this time. Last time we went on for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know, we can't have enough.
We didn't feel it. We didn't feel it. It's just.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna mute everybody. Alanoud, if you can unmute yourself.
Sure.
To make sure. Okay.
Yeah, I unmuted.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, we tend to go on because we're so passionate about all of this. It's amazing.
We didn't feel the time go by, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's try this time to, because we promised people it's like 8 to 9, so let's try to wrap it up around 9. So but we wanna leave a lot of you know, some room for questions and answers to be able to give the specific tools. So last time we were talking about, you know, how to manage basically relationships, and that was a touchy subject. And people talked about personal relationships, romantic relationships, and business relationships. And I just want to, you know, just say here that we had a lot of people who really opened up and shared personal examples and so on. And because these videos, for the benefit of everybody, are being put on YouTube later on and being shared, what we are doing is whenever there are personal examples and so on being shared, we're editing that out to protect the privacy of people. So I just want to give people that assurance. you know, yesterday, New York Times article said, recession for the next 2 years. Millions of jobs are going to be cut in the US, across the world. OECD issued an economic report yesterday that is very grim. People are losing their jobs. People who are not losing their jobs are getting salary cuts. So people are being affected in different ways. And, how do we stand on our feet again? How do we, stand up after being knocked down so many times? How do we look forward? Is there hope in all of this? And what are the steps that can be taken to move forward? And I think this is the bulk of what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've known a lot of people who have lost their jobs, and some of them were inspiring to me, the way they took it and the way they reacted to losing their jobs. They weren't angry, they weren't resentful, they were extremely understanding, and they had a lot of faith. And a lot of them actually who did that, it's nice to have a plan B regardless of how comfortable you are in a situation. Yeah. Whether it's in your savings, whether it's in something you've invested in the side, or it's always better to not have all your eggs in one basket, kind of thing. And the people who got really, really affected are the ones who actually put everything they have in one single thing. Yeah. And I've noticed that, and it's important to also talk about the way you react to losing your job, and your mindset, the way you look at it, and how you can actually come out of it sane and not like completely lose hope and lose yourself in the process. So
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the thing is, absolutely, tough times, and 2008 wasn't too long ago, for people who were around in Dubai. In 2008, we had like a real also slowdown. And if you remember, we had a lot of people leave the cars and leave. Lots of cars were left at the airport, and people just like up and left because, they lost their jobs, they couldn't pay up, and so on, so many things. But, I really am a big believer in how resilient and how we're really powerful human beings, because and we have this blessing of forgetting. We forget that we went through a recession and the downturn.
So yeah, we have that.
We have that, but I'm really at awe of how strong we are, because we keep getting down, and we have it in ourselves to go up, get up again, and so on. But I was speaking to somebody just yesterday, and he was saying, I said, what's wrong with you? Because I've witnessed that, every time that you are knocked down, you stand on your feet again, and so on. And he said, I've been knocked down one too many times. I don't have it in me. I'm not sure I have the energy to go up again and to do whatever it takes. And I think, some people end up feeling that way, even if they have been around for some time and they know what they have to do. Not having the energy and not being mentally strong, I don't think it's an option right now. Because if you give into that, and into that thought and feeling, it's tempting, it's great, like we say, if you want to indulge in being a victim and feeling that way, give yourself time. Give yourself a time limit. Just say, I'm gonna just have a lazy Friday where I'm gonna feel bad for myself, or I'm gonna take the weekend to do that, but then I'm just gonna turn things around, even when I feel that.
Yeah, it's easier. I feel, Salma, it's easier for people to sort of get their strength back and get themselves out of this when they have a family. to look forward to, because it's like مسؤولية, you know what I mean? And they need to take care of their family. They can't think of how bad their situation is. They need to come up with a solution. And I've been asked so many times, Yani, how do you get out of it? Some people would send me their CVs and they'd be like, Tab, I don't have a job. I need a job. I don't like. It's frustrating to get all this and want to help, but you have no clue on how to help. And I literally started researching, because in every crisis, there are people who find opportunities. And some people don't know how to look beyond the crisis to find the actual opportunity, because they're so into, oh my God, I lost my job. Yeah. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, that's it. It's the end of the world. That they don't see beyond that. Yeah. And they just want you to give them basically an easy way. Like, tell me what to do. Like, tell me how to go beyond the mess that I'm in and find another job or move on with my life. Like, how do you do that? And I don't know if there is a step-by-step.
Absolutely. I think the very first step is you have to start, right? Because a lot of people, when they're stuck, they keep talking about, I don't know what to do. Start. Action is so important. Start. What if
but then they tell you start where?
Yeah. Start by finding out what you want to do. You've lost your job now. Okay. What can you do? Who can you contact? But first, before contacting people, because a lot of people panic and they start like sending their CVs around, or they start connecting on LinkedIn with new connections. And as soon as you accept that connection, in comes the CV and I'm looking for a job. That's the worst thing that you can ever do.
Really?
You have to be strategic about it. Yeah, you can't just reach out to people and just bombard them with your CV. You have to be very strategic about it, because you're doing that.
You can't come out desperate, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You can come out desperate, but you know what? You're shooting yourself in the foot, because, in desperation, you're not going to get the position that you want or the package that you want and so on, because you're shooting from a very low ground. So,
but in a crisis, do you really think you have the luxury to actually position yourself strategically to get the right job for you when there are millions of people that are losing their job? Like, honestly, it's just like a target. They're just throwing it out there and see what hits at this point, I feel, because they're like, at this point, they want just any job to secure a proper income, health insurance, schooling for the kids if they have kids. I don't know if now at this time, this is the thing. I'm usually all about strategies and all about positioning yourself and brand image, because we all are brands. We all are brands. So we need to know how to present ourselves, whether how we dress, how we talk, the way we present ourselves at job opportunities, where we want to see ourselves, who we talk to, blah, blah, blah. But right now, I feel like, I don't know if this is the right time to implement such a thing, if people are so desperate to just find security at this point. Like, what do you do at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very critical point that you're bringing. And I think it's very important. I'll tell you what, strategy is very important. How you position yourself, and positioning yourself and being strategic doesn't have to be unrealistic. You have to be very realistic. So we're rooted that there is a crisis. So we need to be very, humbled. We've been all humbled by this crisis. There's nobody on earth that hasn't taken a hit because of this. Yeah. We all lost something, to a certain degree.
ما في واحد أحسن من الثاني at this point. يعني everyone's equal.
Exactly. So, and it's not a competition who lost more than each other, right? So it's very important to take a step back, because panic is gonna go in. And we talked about fear and how to handle anxiety at one point. So this is exactly the same. You're fearful for your livelihood and so on, but you can't just get into action because you need to have a plan. So the first thing is step back and see, what do you want? Okay, what is your track record? Where are your strengths? And be realistic about it. If the job market is not the same, the packages are not the same, the salaries are not the same. So you have to be, the number one quality that is needed right now is flexibility. We have to be very flexible in how we handle ourselves. So you can't go out and command the same price or the same salary or the same anything that you want. You have
So
to be very.
We need to put our egos in check, basically.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. We have like this crisis, and any crisis, I think, humbles us or gets us back to the basics. And basically what is important here is that you want to think about it as an opportunity. If you're out of the job, an opportunity to restart. Are you in the right line? Do you still, if you are in, let's say, in marketing, do you still want to stay in marketing? And if the answer is yes, how is marketing as an industry or as a role changing after COVID-19? Because a lot of it is going to be online. You have to think about
It's all about adapting, honestly.
Adapting.
Like everyone's adapting to the new change, the new normal, the way people are starting to use things differently. Even companies have changed their whole perception of how they work initially to cater to the new kind of people that they're starting to see come out of this crisis or come out of this pandemic. Like there are companies that would never usually offer telesessions, but are now offering telesessions and have now decided to even make it a fixture in their program. Absolutely. To have telesessions, because everything's online. Everything has turned online. People like malls are starting to sell online. Mall of the Emirates has an online store now. I mean, all of these things, I never thought, all these places would have an online, platform. So it's interesting to see how people that said, well, now they tell you never say never. This is the time to never say never, because this is the time where all the things that you said you would never do, you're going to have to do to survive. Absolutely.
So staying versatile and flexible is very important. Look, like I said, you want to feel sorry for yourself, and it's a very tough situation. I'm not belittling that. You can, but put a time frame on it and say, this is my miserable 2 days or whatever week. But after that, I'm standing up and I'm going to turn things around. Having, take a step back. Second thing is take a step back and rethink about, okay, I've been in marketing for like 12 years. Do I want to stay in marketing? What are my strengths? And is marketing going to be one of the services, one of the industries that will, flourish or survive or expand or grow? And if your answers are yes, then how do I position myself? Okay, what do I have? Do I have what it takes to do that? And then before you do the hit list with the LinkedIn's, okay, go out and expand your network, call people and so on. But as soon as you do that, don't right away hit them. If people you don't know, don't hit them with your CV right away. Engagement is so important. I mean, in this day and age, we know how engagement is very important, and engagement is everything, whether it's on social media or so on. It's now about not how many followers or how many likes or so on. It's about how are you engaging with people? Are you really impacting people? Exactly. It's the same with with everything in life, especially in work, because how do you want people to get to know you before they hire you? So you have to engage them in a very smart way. And I'll give you an example. I have somebody who has been persistent in sending emails and sending us on all social platforms that he wants to intern with us. Okay. And he's saying, look, I have this, I can contribute this. I really like what you guys are doing. I love that you are putting a lot of webinars out and so on. This is the kind of company I want to belong to. I don't want a salary. Okay. I want to come and intern for you and offer my services free for I don't know how many months. So, and he is so persistent about it. You know what? I'm going to hire him because he's making himself available. He's marketing himself. He's saying, take me without salary. I'm not going to cost you anything. Take me on trial.
He wants to prove himself, basically.
Yeah. See what I can do. And, researched the company, knows about where our heart is, what our passions are, and how we're impacting people. And he's hitting all the right points. And he's engaged in this dialogue for so long, over like 4 emails, before he hit us with his CV. So his approach is correct. And he's following it up with persistence that, we have started a dialogue with him. So you have to think out of the box about, the traditional ways of cold calling or sending CVs, died a long time ago, I think, even before COVID. The way you engage yourself and the way you position yourself is important. Stay humble and stay humble with your expectations. The title is not important. What's important these days, more important than ever, is the experience. Are you going to be learning? Are you going to be challenged? Are you going to be contributing? Regardless if you're called president or if you're called the janitor, because we get so hung up.
There's a quote that says, I don't do titles, I do vibes. And I love that, because honestly, especially now, it's not about titles, it's about the vibe you give out, the passion, the flexibility, like you said, for you to be able to put yourself in a position you normally would not put yourself into, is shows a lot of character, especially for the people that want to hire you, that you're willing to be placed. It's almost like you need to be a chameleon at this point. You need to play many different fields, even if you're not exactly for that field, but I believe that you will find your way eventually, and maybe you probably like it better than the field that you normally would be in.
Yeah, absolutely. Flexibility is key. I think if we were to choose only one thing, only one attribute, you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible in your expectations, flexible. And flexibility is very appreciated, and it's something, it's an investment in your future, because whenever you're flexible and you're able to deal with the situation, that's very telling that you not only understand, but you're able to problem solve and be adaptable and flexible. And that goes a very long way when things go back again to to normal salaries, or to whatever is next. It's not even the next normal, whatever is next, because I think that's really important. The way we always think about the future with looking at what we know. Okay, but the future might be something that is completely new. So think about it. A lot of people are thinking about coming up with new products, new services. I was listening to an interesting world known designer of haute couture, and he was saying, Elisab, and he was saying, we all took a hit and so on. And so she asked him, what is the future for haute couture? He said, I'm designing comfortable clothes. Okay, because right now people are, in isolation, people are at home and so on, but trendy, very nice, but they have to be comfortable. So he's already accepted the new mode of what people need and what thinking, and changing his whole model.
That's adapting, exactly. Right? That's adapting.
Because he's serving a new mentality.
Yeah. And even, I mean, this crisis hit a lot of companies in ways, I mean, company owners have figured out the fact that there's a lot of sections in their company that maybe they shouldn't have actually opened up or needed. There has been an overspending for no reason for years, that when this crisis happened, it basically kicked all that bad habit out. Like the things that you don't need, everything. It's like a detox. It's one big, huge detox where everyone started, recalculating inside their company what they need, what they not need. There was a lot of extras that wasn't needed, and a lot of things that were important that they didn't look into.
Absolutely.
Until now, which is fine as long as they look into it at the end, which is very important. But even companies, they say that this crisis happened where a lot of companies had to shut down, big companies, very well-known companies, because you know what? Everything has their expiry date at some point, and those huge companies could not make room for new companies to come out before. And now, because of this crisis, a lot of companies that obviously had to close their doors because they've played their part, they've had a huge impact in society, in the world, whatever it is, whether in fashion, whether in something else, they've made their mark. Some companies decided to evolve and shift into something else, which made them survive. But other companies they're like, you know what, we're done.
Yeah.
So they closed. When they did that, they gave space to other companies, which honestly I really liked, in that they gave room for other companies to come out and to actually be seen for the first time. There was so much clutter before that you couldn't see anything anymore. There was so much noise. There was so much unnecessary, things that were happening, that I believe now is your opportunity, whether you're a small business or a big business. Now it's your opportunity to either make it or break it.
Absolutely.
But you have to grab the opportunity now, yani, and no, you're not going to get another chance. This is a wave. You ride it now and you keep riding.
Absolutely. I mean, if we don't take the opportunity now, when? I mean, this is the best time that we have, where we are actually like, we're not in lockdown anymore, but lockdown mode, if you would like, where we've had time to reflect and say, this is what we can do, this is what we cannot do. When are we going to get time of reflection, of planning, of reskilling? We all need to reskill. We all need to grab these new skills. And
not only that, everyone's watching now.
Yeah.
So you have a platform, you use it. Everyone's watching you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's very important. So, keep yourself in check. And I know that we're alive, we're people, we're dynamic. So we have our ups and downs. We have good days, we have bad days, and so on. But, please, it's only normal to have ups and downs, but manage your downtime. Manage it. Try to minimize how much down you are. Give yourself this, limit it. Just say, I have a deadline to do that, because the more that you allow yourself to be down, the more it's going to be harder, because we're creatures of habit. Remember that. So if we let, our feelings just grab us and go down and so on, and we feel comfortable enough, we're going to go down back to it. So we really need to toughen up and be disciplined with ourselves to make sure that, whatever works to make you, move, to make you act. This is why physical activity is important. And this is why we always say, whenever you are not feeling great, what helps really is, put on some loud music and dance, move your body physically, shake it off, because, it's all about energy.
Allow yourself to feel.
Yes. Get into the vibes and so on, get into the right mindset. So when you're talking to people and reaching out to your network, you're talking from a place of sincerity, from a place of truth and strength, rather than from a place of, oh my God, please, I need a job. This is not how we get a job. So, and there's a big difference between what we're going through today and what the previous recessions. Everybody's affected, everybody's getting hit. So there's a sense of that.
Yeah, the thing is, also there are people that have been hit in different ways. Some people have been hit really badly, to the point where some people have saved up to come, let's say, to Dubai, create a sort of future for them here, put in all their investments in buying a house, all their savings, all their whatever, and the crisis hit, and they're left with no jobs. They can't finish paying for the house, and they need to go back to a country, let's say, they left behind, and they honestly have nothing going for them there either.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, what do you do?
It's a very, very tough situation. It's very tough. The only thing that each person is completely different in terms of their situation, and in terms of what they do. And the first thing that anybody has to do is, grab onto new skills. There's a lot of free resources of knowledge, getting knowledge and getting reskilled, and trying to, if they don't want to, investing in yourself is the only investment now, and you can do it with minimal payment, right?
Exactly. People are giving courses online, like crazy. There are so many courses online.
Absolutely.
And it's not like, them are not even that expensive. Like, you can take like short courses and, accumulate them, and you never know.
So look, this crisis has definitely showed us what our priorities are, what really should be our priorities. So instead of investing in buying the new bag and so on, I'm very fond of them. How do we, put that money towards a course that prepares you for your future? Because you want to put money into something that brings you business or brings you income. And
I hope this crisis has taught so many to save.
Saving is important. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Having a buffer is important, because that's important when we are responsible for ourselves. And even, like you said, when we are responsible for others as well, when we have a family, or even people who have, obligations to support others outside their circle and outside their families. So, or giving money back home or transferring money back home. There are so many interdependencies here. So invest. I think if we are to invest in anything today, it has to be in something that brings us future income, whether it's salary or future business or revenue. And that is invest in retooling, in new, investing in ourselves, in new knowledge, in new expertise, invest in things like we're doing today, in new tools, in getting onto webinars, onto courses, and so on, even paid resources.
And knowing that everything now is online. So just, educating yourself on how, that technology works, or getting yourself into computer science, or like building websites, or even that domain is doing so well. People are getting hired right, left, and center if they have any knowledge on website development or any kind of online services, or
Absolutely.
so that's doing amazingly well. Like I'm taking courses online on how to build your own website and set up shop online, even though I have a team that set up my website for me. But I would like to be able to have a proper background knowledge on how this whole industry works, because that's where we're heading.
Absolutely. And that's, technology is going to stay with us. And I think that's, the best investment that we can do, because you're investing in yourself, right?
Exactly.
So with that investment, you don't lose. You can lose in any other investment, but with that investment, we don't lose, because that's investing in our future. So, as much as possible, get into the right mindset, plug into things that will get you to check with each other. And there's an advantage also today. People out there are, very amenable to help. So they're open-minded about, reaching out and replying to people and so on, when they were unreachable before, right? But approach them
now more than ever.
Yeah, but approach them in the right way. Approach them when you have something to add. You need to add value, right? I'm not going to give you a job just because you're asking for a job. You're going to have to add value and make sure that you understand what I need. So do your homework, do your research, invest in yourself, in your learning, in your development, and then reach out, have a target list of who you want to reach out to, and then have that conversation. How are you going to add value to that person? How are you going to have that conversation going? Because we have a very good window of opportunity where people are going to respond and they're going to listen. But what are you going to say? How are you going to add value? Okay. Exactly. If you're able to catch that, then, you're able to grab it. But that's very important. Another point is, I think the industry for freelancers is gonna be flourishing.
It's booming, yeah.
Okay, so
100%.
So think about how you can retool yourself, even if you don't get into a job, okay, into like an organization and so on.
Yeah.
What are the things that you do best? What value can you bring? And you can freelance. Then you can actually freelance to 2-3 organizations. Let's get out of this rigid mindset that I finish this job, I'm out of this job, I need a structure and a box to go into another organization with a similar kind of title and job. Okay.
Yeah, I have to give you this example based on what you're saying. There's someone I know that basically is all about networking, and she works in PR and everything. She lost her job. And she was like, okay, that's it. I need income. I need to do something about it. So she realized that in this crisis, there was like, people went crazy over sanitization tunnels and cubicles and sprays and sanitizing thingy and masks and all that stuff. Like a lot of fashion designers now are doing masks in different ways with the DHA and stuff like that. So that's interesting. They've like extended their services to something else. But she decided to do freelance, and she decided to use her network so that she can get, for instance, all these medical supplies and sell them to different hospitals, even government sectors, and take a sales cut.
Wow.
Of all these services. I was so impressed. I was like, interesting. How did you come up with that? Like, she's like, I had to do something. Like, I have the network. I know people. I'm good at people. I work in PR, public relations. So she's like, how am I going to reinvent myself? And then she's like, I offered my services and my network to this company that basically does sanitizing tunnels and has all these sanitizing sprays and like these fog machines. And she started approaching companies, big companies, and offering them a package deal with all these things to protect their company, their employees, and all this stuff. And she's selling like hotcakes right now.
Amazing.
And I'm just like, bravo, this is an example of how you can repackage your services to fit today's, needs, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There, like you were saying, there is an opportunity, but are you calm enough to be able to spot it? Are you calm enough mentally? Because when we're driven by despair and fear and anxiety, we have mental fog. You won't be able to see straight. You won't be able to think straight. So you
can't see beyond your problem. That's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to be calm enough to be able to be mentally clear and focused, to be able to actually look around and see the opportunity, like this lady did. Amazing. And timing, she turned it around very quickly, and that's very important.
Timing is everything. Yeah, because everyone's getting on board that whole sanitizing tunnels and all that stuff. So for you to grab this opportunity before everyone else does, why not? Wow.
And that's what differentiates the winners of who wins the future. That's so important. So it's not rocket science, but it really needs somebody who has real good willpower, and who says, you know what, let me look ahead. What can I do? Forget about I lost my job. Forget about all of the other stuff. Charge forward.
Yeah, not only that, there's a lot of people that they don't have that character in them to drive forward and move forward. They're very reserved. And honestly, I always tell these people, I'm like, okay, so you've lost your job, you've lost this, you've lost that. What could you possibly lose in throwing yourself out there? You have nothing left to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
it's so super important. Fantastic. Shall we open it up to questions? Yes, I can't believe it's already, how is it already 8:45?
I don't know, 45 minutes. We can open the chat for sure.
Okay. All right. We'd love your input, guys.
Salma,
let's open it up for questions.
Yeah, Salma, if I can comment on this.
Sure.
We know that, this gonna really change a lot of people how to think differently. I'm talking about companies over here. And quite a number of companies have actually done some paradigm shift in the way they strategize and may move forward. And I think the way of doing business is going to be certainly changed. However, we also need to be mindful that there's a large number of companies are still struggling to find out a way out of this. Because the reason being, because a lot of these companies has been curtailed and they were not given an opportunity to do anything different. And we're talking about small time companies, even big time companies who've been there for the last 30, 40, 100 years as well. So unfortunately, human beings' minds sometimes is a very short-lived memory. So my only fear is, and we've seen that in the history, even back in some decades, that people suddenly go back to their own practices because they're actually very comfortable in their own cocoon. So that's why a lot of companies require help and guidance. How do we take them, actually move them out? And these are even big companies who have filed for bankruptcies in US, in other countries as well. So I would still say that, while things going to be changing, definitely, but one need to be also mindful on the numbers we see on online purchases and all these things. So it's like the American economy recovery. Everybody's saying the American economy is recovering very fast, but unfortunately the devil is in the detail, where actually the data set we're comparing today is completely different than pre-COVID. So we see high percentages, but they're not necessarily even coming back to the norms. So there's a long way to go for the recovery to happen. Of course, there are a lot of researchers by different bankers, investment bankers, and saying that it's going to take anything like 18 months to 2 years. And even for airline industry, they're talking about for things to be normal, probably 4 years. Like Emirates Airline themselves have put in a statement saying, before we go back to 156 countries and destination we've been actually going to, we probably need on average of 4 years. So things still watch and see for very large companies, big companies who have not been able to maneuver this COVID-19.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely going to take time, and there's a lot of ambiguity, Maher, out there, as you pointed, you rightly pointed. I think people are trying to figure it out, but that's why people who are resourceful and who are put on their problem-solving hat and who have experience are able to help here. I think this is a critical characteristic and expertise that's going to be needed now more than ever, especially people who have a long track record of knowledge and working in different fields, let's say or different industries or different in the same industry across let's say groups and departments, because this is new to everybody. So having people who are able to look at things and to try to make an informed decision or help CEOs or boards of companies make an informed decision.
I feel at this point you need a new set of eyes.
Yeah.
To just look at what companies are not looking at, or it's just something, to sort of help.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Good. Other questions? Anybody would like to?
I have a question. Hi, Salma.
Hi.
Hi.
It's Aida.
Oh, Aida. Hi. How are you?
Hi. How are you? All good. So my question is working from home. There's a lot of question marks. A lot of companies started understanding the whole working from home, productivity rate going up. What's your input on working from home? Before, as an HR manager, I was totally against it, but after 2 months being stuck at home, actually I worked maybe more than working from the office. So what's your input on working from home?
That's true, by the way. It's true, Aida. A lot of people are saying they are 10 times more productive at home than in the offices, and companies are starting to realize that. So a lot of companies have actually shifted and decided to have most of their employees work from home, which is mind-boggling.
Exactly.
Google, right?
Exactly.
I've read that Google basically have all their employees working from home. So what?
Yeah,
the mind, it shifted my mind completely, because previously when people said, okay, you want to work from home, I was like, no way, it's out of question, don't even think about it. Maybe because you think, okay, what are they doing at home? But when I was stuck at home and I had like so many projects to finish, I actually finished them before time. I was dedicated, woke up in the morning, did my thing, and took my lunch break, back to work. So I'm really curious to know, will it be a trend in the next few years to start working from home? Is it going to be what's your input on that, Salma? Thank you.
Well, amazing point. I think it's very relevant. Everybody's like, it's something that's on everybody's mind. Look, Aida, I think we as a region here have been behind, let's say, North America in this remote working and flexible working. So they've, I can tell you that in the US and Canada, depending on the jobs and so on, a lot of people had, hybrid kind of working teams. Working from home with this experience that we didn't have a chance but to actually make it work, I think it's gonna be a fact of life, and it's gonna be with us to stay. But who works from home, who doesn't work from home, how long do you work from home, I think is something that has to be engineered according to the function of the person and according to the industry. But remote working, it doesn't have to be working from home. You can be sitting in a coffee shop and working from there. Remote working is definitely going to be part of our life. Some companies went back and they're tagging, they have tag teams. So let's say this team, let's call it a blue team. The blue team goes in and to the office this week, red team stays at home, and the next week it would be vice versa. But
yeah,
I think each company is figuring out what works best, but working, remote working and having that flexibility is gonna stay with us. And I think people in HR who head up HR functions.
I don't think they like that.
Like you, Aida, I think HR is gonna transform a lot, and we need, because we are so used to, seeing people in the office, and that's important. Presence in the office is important and so on, but that's not productivity. How do you measure productivity when somebody is sitting at home? That's a completely different mindset, right? Because
100%,
you can be doing anything or not doing anything. So it's a mindset. How do you engage people while they're home? How do you keep them motivated and keep them working with the flexibility of making sure that they are at home? But I don't know if I answered your question, but I firmly believe this is going to be with us to stay for sure. And we have to devise ways of how to make it happen. Some of the jobs you cannot do remotely. Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot, I know that my medical doctor has consultations, remote consultations, but you know what? When it was locked down, I did it a couple of times, but I'd rather go actually and see my doctor in the clinic and get the tests happening. So it really also depends on the function.
Yeah. Thank you, Salma.
Sure. Thank you. All right.
I can't see anyone, so I have no idea who's here. Anyone?
You wanted to? Chat.
So we have a comment from Farah here saying, thank you so much. It helps a lot. Actually, I'm about to get my master's degree, and when I check the economic situation and see how many people are losing their job, I honestly feel frustrated. But as you said, we have to work on ourselves, and inshallah khair. Yes, Farah, definitely, we have to work on ourselves. We are more resilient than we think. If you look back at different economic situations, different crises that happened before, we've always managed to survive. But the fact is, how do you deal with this crisis? How do you self-manage? What do you do in this time? And how do you plan to make sure that you're out of this crisis in a successful way? So look for the opportunities. Stop looking at what the crisis is affecting. Start reading up on the future trends, what people are saying about technology, what people are, you're studying masters. I don't know what your specialty is, but start researching about in your field what the new trends are and so on, and hop on that wagon. You might come up with a service or with a product out of this crisis that you can build a business around. A lot of the new inventions happen that way. FedEx happened that way. A lot of the products and services that we see around us came out of crisis situations where people had to problem solve. So there are real opportunities here. So we have another one that says iPhone C, tips on setting boundaries with people around us who are really down at this time, which can impact our own journey when we're all trying to keep it together and rise. Oh, that's a good one. So how do we set boundaries with people around us who are dragging us down when we ourselves are trying to keep it together and move on? That's a very interesting one. You're on mute.
Yeah.
Hello.
That was a really interesting one, because at this time, you feel like you don't want to shut the doors on anyone. You want to be kind to each other. But at the same time, you're like, we're all in this together. You can't dump all your things at me when I'm trying to just, you know, stay afloat. So it's difficult. I don't know how you do that, actually. How would you set boundaries without hurting the other person or making them feel like they're not, you know, they're a nuisance?
I think it's a fantastic question. And I think it's not only, you know, it's amplified because of the crisis situation. But like we always say, you know, whenever things happen, let's take an example of the plane. They always, because we're not traveling now, and that's something I really, really miss. Whenever the air cabin goes down, okay, they tell you, even when you have your son or your daughter with you, and you know that's your priority, it's your son, they tell you, you put on your mask first, your oxygen mask first, then attend,
and then you help others.
You help others. And why is that? The logic behind it is very simple. You have to be strong to be able to help. You can't, if you're weak, okay, or if you're sinking, you won't be able to help anybody around you. So if you come at it from that mindset, setting boundaries will be easier, because you really need to look after yourself and give yourself clarity to be able to help. Otherwise, you're not helpful to anybody around you. So approach it that way. It's not selfish. It's actually a priority that you focus on yourself and to be able to be of service to others, because that's the whole point.
Nice. There's another
there's another one.
Yeah, someone wrote so I don't know where the chat is.
Okay, so this is from Zaina saying, don't set boundaries, work on yourself, don't let them drag you down, and offer help at the same time. We can't isolate ourselves and stay away from drama. You have to help.
There's one before that.
I agree. Okay, so Dana, great discussion as always. I agree that having another side business of sorts, which usually is based on passion. Oh, okay, so this is working your job and then having a side business can really become your game changer without having intended for it at inception. Also, to add that with telework as a global challenge, keep in mind that projects available can come from any corner of the world. That's such a good point. That's such a good point. We are not geographically bound by work. You can reach out and get work from
all over the world.
Absolutely. So that is a bigger reach. Thank you, Dana. That's very insightful. Absolutely. Okay, great. Thank you for that. Anybody else? We promised everybody that we're gonna wrap around 9, and I really don't know how it's going.
How is it 9? It's 9:05.
I really don't know. So thank you
so
much.
I hope we covered a lot of the concerns, and I hope we offered a few tips and maybe suggestions, or maybe a way also to look beyond what's happening right now. Like it's never the end, it's always the beginning. I never see anything as an ending. It's always the beginning of something else. So while one thing ends, another thing starts. So I hope you all find your beginning of something new, and and take into consideration what Salma said, because there's some insane, like amazing points of just basically being flexible is so important. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly the key, actually. That's the key word for today's webinar.
No, absolutely. And thanks for people who joined us from Canada, and I can see somebody from the UK as well. Look, keep tuning in. We've done now like personal Thursdays, where we talk about personal things that you guys want us to talk about, and business Tuesdays. So if you guys, because today was all about career and losing the job and so on, next Tuesday, we're going to be hosting a speaker. He's going to be talking about how do you turn around your business? How do you make sure that you create new revenue, new lines of revenue in your business if your business is not going anywhere and so on. So keep telling us what you'd like us to talk about, and we'll try to make it happen. Thank you so much for
thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much for all of the engagement. Thank you, Alanoud. Always amazing to
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.